the dream isn't dead, but let me tell you, it's on life support, and the cord is hanging halfway out of the socket. The priest is reading the last rites, and now your Minnesota Timberwolves are not only battling the Dallas Mavericks, not only battling Luka and Kyrie, they now battle history as they look to become the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-0 deficit after dropping Game 3, 116 to 107 once again. The duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, a duo that all of the Twin Cities, all of the state of Minnesota will be seeing in their nightmares for years to come, absolutely daggered your Minnesota Timberwolves, especially late. Luka and Kyrie combined for 66 points to lead the Dallas Mavericks to victory. And once again, down the stretch, they just could not miss. They were hitting everything. And your Minnesota Timberwolves, they fought. Anthony Edwards responded the way we wanted him to respond. He had 26 points, as 1 rebound and 1 assist away from having a triple-double. And yet, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are as inevitable as they've ever been. And in a series where the Timberwolves needed Karl Anthony Towns, needed Anthony Edwards, needed our Batman and Robin, in a series that we went into talking about X factors, your Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, they didn't even really have their A factor going on. Anthony Edwards, again, a big bounce back game, but Karl Anthony Towns, 14 points, 11 rebounds. That's just not going to cut it when Luka and Kyrie are as good as they have been. Again, they combined for 66 points. My goodness, this is Howlin' with the Homies, a.k.a. Wolves FANLine. No Hooties will be hooed tonight, but this is presented to you by ABC, American Building Contractors. Parker Fox is somewhere probably mourning the PWHL double overtime loss, so he's out. But my man PA, the voice of the Vikings, is in. PA, how you feeling after that tough loss?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I like it the way it is now because when you produce 9 to noon, whether it's Darnell Hillman or it's Broby Bryant, it's always me in the lead chair and you in the 1A. Well, I like the reverse roles now. So, I mean, I'll lead it off by just playing off what you just said, that, Kyrie was the identity of much of this game. But as you'll hear tomorrow, 9 to noon, there was 6 minutes to go in the game, and it was super tight. It was tied at 100. And Luka waved everybody off and put Kyrie in the corner. He's like, enough, Kyrie, watch me. And he scores off 1 foot. Dallas took the lead, and it was super pretty. And that just became the identity of the last 5.5 minutes. Luka and Kyrie, and that played to 03, man. So that's what it is.
Yeah, they were just, I mean, clutch is an understatement. They could not miss in the fourth quarter. And Luka Doncic, by the way, that shot that you're talking about was on Jaden McDaniels, who, as good of a defender as he's been all throughout his career, especially this year, has been. Luka and Kyrie have been treating him like he's barbecue chicken, as Shaquille O'Neal would say. PA, I compared it to like when you're watching a TV show and somebody goes to prison and they just immediately beat up the toughest guy in the jail. That's kind of how it feels that Luka and Kyrie have been doing to Jaden McDaniels and the rest of the Minnesota Timberwolves, which Jaden McDaniels, by the way, he had it going again offensively from 3, 15 points. He wasn't as aggressive in the second half as he was in the first, but Jaden McDaniels had it going again. I mean, Naz Reid had it going again. Mike Conley had a pretty good game. Slow-mo was cooking in that fourth quarter. I thought I was going to lead FANLine talking about how the Mavericks were seeing everything in slow motion. My man had I think he had all 10 of his points in the fourth quarter, at least 8 of them. And it just, again, you just can't stop Kyrie and Luka. That's the A topic, isn't it, PA?
All right, I have a topic like analysis. And then I have a bit that involves Charles Barkley. So first, the analysis. With all due respect to a team we love, shame on the Wolves for not blowing out Dallas in Game 2. And you were there in the primo seats wearing the pink silk shirt, and I was there behind the Mavericks bench. and the Dallas Mavericks were begging to be blown out in that game, and the Wolves would not acquiesce, and that double-digit lead lasted a long time, man, and it caused me to hearken to game one of their series against the Clippers. They got blown out and then made it look like 12 at the end, but it still was a blowout. OKC series, they got beat by 22 one game. So they're prone to get blown out in a series. And we had them right there to blow them out in game two and couldn't close on it. And I kind of thought from there tonight was going to be super difficult, and clearly it was. Now the Barkley bit. So how about Barkley? I don't know if you saw it or not, or heard it with the audio up in the studio. But,
no, what did he say?
So he has Daniel Gafford on set. All right.
God.
Well, he's so just mentally sped up, whatever, that he thinks he's P.J. Washington. So he calls him P.J. Washington. And then they correct him. He's like, "Oh, my fault. I came over here with P.J. Washington." So then he says to Gafford, "Man, you guys just got to go out and win game number 4. There's no way I want to go back to Minneapolis again."
What?
I mean, Barkley's now killing our city
What?
on national TV after we go down 0-3.
What kind of bleep is that? He was just saying how
What's up
nice
with
of
that,
a city
man?
it was. He was just saying how well we treated him.
See?
We saw him up at Manny's Steakhouse.
See?
Every restaurant welcomed Chuck with open arms, and now he turns on us just like Draymond Green had, just like Shaquille. It seems like the whole TNT crew has got no love for Minneapolis. What the hell is going on? All of a sudden, it's a
there's
bad
another,
city?
like as the details go, excuse me, you have you have the overarching, take that Luka and Kyrie, their stars, late in games, have been unstoppable every game. Even if Doncic walks, and for some reason covered by Gobert, but even if he walks to dagger it and win it, he still won it and wasn't called. So their stars and then our star, clearly they outstarred them. So that's big. That's the A topic. But behind it, you got details, man, and everything like, that sucker was tight, and there's P.J. Washington standing in the corner, wide open, and Anthony blows a coverage, and P.J. hits a huge three.
And he hadn't done anything throughout this
series. In a
series.
basketball game, it's not like football, man. It's really difficult to just pinpoint one play, but that was kind of metaphorical to a high-scoring game where if you just look at the Wolves with who they're supposed to be, with the rock star defense, well, if you need to win a high-scoring game, you can do it against Denver, but can you do it against Luka and Kyrie, even without Lively? And clearly the answer has been no.
Yeah, and it looked like we saw flashes in the second half of that intense defense that we know and love. The Wolves went on an 11-1 run to take the first. I mean, it was their first lead since it was 5-3. And Anthony Edwards, after that gigantic dunk that
Slow-mo at times was messing up Doncic.
Yeah.
Right, now, that's not preposterous statement tournament worthy because I said at times, so I qualified it. But I'm telling you, this slow-mo thing on Doncic, he got him a couple of times with his defense.
He was the closest thing that we had to a Luka Doncic stopper. He got a couple of steals on him. He was even hitting Jays in the fourth quarter. I mean, we got several slow-mo, I mean, I don't want to say outbursts, but for him, an offensive outburst throughout this series and just couldn't capitalize it. Again, we had our ancillary guys, the X-factor type of guys. They were hitting, but our A-factors just weren't there. And you mentioned P.J. Washington, PA.
But see, when with like 5-6 minutes to go in the third quarter, when Edwards dunked on Gafford, it was on.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
the
we're
whole thing
back.
was on at that point. So now the game is going to be a spine tingler like the first two because that's just kind of like what this series you can tell is going to develop into. So Anthony, then he went on an 8-0 run.
Right.
So he became so he's a star. Okay, he has immortality to him. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But so do Luka and Kyrie. All right. So now we get to, all right, well, where's the other one from Minnesota? Well, I mean, if you're going to have, I don't have the numbers in front of me, man, but I think Towns was 0 for 8 on threes, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's been brutal this series.
If your alleged 1A is going to do that from 3, which is his nookie blankie, then and get pulled in game 2, and so on, well, then you're not going to win the series.
0 for 8 from 3 for Karl Anthony
Yeah,
Towns.
that's what it was.
And just in general throughout the series, I mean, I would imagine this is the worst 3-point shooting stretch of his entire career. I've
Yeah.
never seen Karl Anthony Towns be
But,
that
yeah,
brutal
but you
from
know
3.
what? I mean, he clearly was fighting it, and he kept shooting. And I was happy, they kept him in the game and let him try to shoot his way out of it, as stupid as that sounds, because he's been a valuable part of the team.
Yeah, 100%.
And there was a game in the Denver series, shoot, man, it might have been game 7. I can't remember now, but like Anthony was light and Cat was carrying the whole thing.
Yeah, it was
like
a couple
when
games in that series.
They were making a comeback, something like that. But so letting Cat shoot through it, I'm a fan of that. He didn't do it. And, now what you're going to get on Tuesday with the old game 4. And, now I think it's teams down 0-3 are 0 wins, 154 losses.
Yeah.
Which means teams in this position every single time basically can start to smell the Caribbean breeze, or smell the dice in the air and wave your hands like you just don't care. And Maxwell hanging out like Cosmopolitan. So we'll see what we get on Tuesday.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the show, the Wolves are no longer just battling the Mavs, no longer just battling Luka and Kyrie. They are battling history. 0-154 is what they're staring down the barrel at.
Yeah, I mean, but let's be real. Get a victory on Tuesday, man. I mean,
right.
It's
put up some fight.
If only, and maybe say to hockey people or people who want to go, full throttle, more Vikings coverage, 9 to noon, or maybe KFAN as a whole with the core 4. All right, I mean, that's eventually going to get there with training camp and stuff and mini camp coming up. But this Wolf story has been terrific. Every step of the way, really until they blew that game 2, and then now what happened tonight. But it's still a very compelling story, and it's just been wonderful having it as a multi-segment talker, at least 9 to noon, for X amount of weeks out of nowhere for the first time in 20 years. So amen to that.
Yeah, amen to that. And this is different. I mean, this team is going to be back. They're going to be good for years to come. I felt like this year was the year they officially changed what Timberwolves basketball and what Timberwolves culture has been. This playoff run has been amazing. I mean, it lit the whole city on fire. Everybody's been having fun. There's kids. It reminded me when I was a kid. I fell in love with basketball when KG and Latrell Sprewell and those guys were just tearing it up and they were making playoff runs. And it's going to be the same thing. Anthony Edwards has brought so many new eyes to this team. Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid. I mean, obviously, we're still going to build Naz Reid a statue, whether they win or lose, whether they get swept or not. We all love Naz Reid. So it completely changed Timberwolves culture. But, man, it just, after that Game 7 comeback win against Denver, I wasn't the only one, and I mean, I was completely overlooking this Mavericks squad. I didn't think it was going to be this big of a problem for the Wolves. I personally thought it was going to be a gentleman's sweep, and all of a sudden now, I mean, this Mavericks team, we see why they got to where they were. They're so freaking good, not just offensively, but defensively, man. And even with no Lively tonight, who has been a big part of their success, I mean, he ended up leaving the game, only 6 points, played 9 minutes, and even with no Lively, they still found ways to get it done. Not that it's like a backbreaker to not have him, but he's a pretty big part of what they do defensively specifically. So they fought through it. And even at the end there, I thought that was just characteristic of kind of who this Mavs team appears to be. Even when Anthony Edwards got that, I think he got a steal there at the end, and then Luka Doncic dives to take it out of his hand. It just felt like even though the Wolves were the ones with their backs against the walls, the Mavericks still kind of felt like the more desperate team, PA.
Yeah, it's been a series full of spectacular talkers outside of Kyrie's speed and his championship cred and Luka's craftiness and the way he beat you. It's been like, okay, so Lively goes down, and that just shows you with more minutes what Daniel Gafford can do. He can catch the ball one-handed with about a 35-inch vertical and slam on you and topple to the court and have his teammates go crazy right at the end of the game after he's blocked key shots. So, Gafford, the player for whom they traded, simply with that moment right there, I mean, general manager's like, okay, that's the move we made, and look what he just did. Another move he did was P.J. Washington hit that big corner three, and
Yeah.
P.J.'s been a handful. I mean, they're playing so fast with these Dallas Mavericks with the trade deadline moves they made, and getting Luka and Kyrie off what I would imagine would be some sketchy times when they first get together, because they're both alphas and they're both amazing. But the way they play agenda free, and one gets the other when the other's in whatever type of turmoil, it's a beautiful thing. And I can't see any way they don't win the NBA championship.
Yeah, it's hard, especially the way that Boston is just skipping and cakewalking and playing against all these injured teams. They're in for something else
We'll see
when they face off against the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah,
If they do.
If it's Tatum and Brown and Doncic and Irving, I mean, hide the women and children for the dog factor on that. I mean, that's spectacular. So
yeah.
I might want to retract my statement, because then Derek White will hit like 6 3-pointers each game and go Kareem Rush on it.
Yeah.
I'll eat my words, but Tatum and Brown and Doncic and Irving, holy cow.
Yeah, seriously. From just purely as a fan of the sport of basketball, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And even watching Luka and Kyrie.
We just said, Max. I mean, okay, Tatum's more accomplished than Anthony, but Anthony absolutely proved this entire postseason, including by bouncing the world champions with the best player in the world on the team, that he is an alpha and he can carry a team through big spots. So who's the 1A? So Doncic, Irving. Well, we just said, okay, Tatum, absolute alpha for sure. Love him. One of the game's best. So who's his 1A? Jaylen Brown, tough as nails. So see, like, you don't ever have problems with Brown in playoff games like we do with Cat, the 1A, you know?
Yeah, and Boston is so deep that it's kind of similar to the Timberwolves usually. Like, the Boston is so deep that sometimes you can afford to not have a good game from Brown, but that's usually not both of their superstars not showing up, and that's kind of what happened with the Timberwolves. Although Anthony Edwards, like you said, he fought. That dunk got everything going. I got everybody believing. We were down at Gray's in Minneapolis for the watch party. Everybody was back into it, cheering, believing in this squad. And everybody had, even though when they were down 2-0, this team has kind of turned the tide, I would say, on the Minnesota misery here in town. We had belief.
I thought they were going to win tonight.
I thought they were going to win the whole thing.
I was lukewarm on on thinking about the game a little bit after game 2. I was in attendance game 2. I saw you in the pink silk next to Parker with the sweet seats for the sweet game, and Nas missing by inches. So I was there, and that bit me a little bit, how they just refused to blow them out. When I watched almost every Dallas playoff game this postseason, because I'm so bit by the Wolves that I'm watching like Dallas play, because I just had a feeling that'd be the target at which to shoot. And when they got blown out by the Clippers, then blown out by OKC, and then I'm right there behind the Mavericks bench looking at you in the fresh pink silk, sitting in the sweet seats, and we're blowing them out for long periods of time, but won't close on it, I just got pissed off.
I don't blame you, PA, and I'll be the first to admit, I said it on major market airwaves. I was completely overlooking this Dallas team. I was fully expecting the Minnesota Timberwolves to basically just steamroll their way into the NBA Finals and win it all. And this Dallas team they're tough, man. They're a well-rounded team, and much people have said it before me, but much the same way that we kind of said the Wolves are designed to beat the Nuggets. The Mavericks are kind of designed to do everything that we're bad against. So that's just the way it is. Your Minnesota Timberwolves now face just an unimaginable steep climb back up to the top, back up to even relevance. They lost 116 to 107 and are now down 3-0 in the Western Conference Finals. PA, sad montage on 9 to noon tomorrow. What are you guys leading with?
No, I think we're just going to get right into it. I mean, it's the in-between period. I mean, you can't Brian McKnight one last cry when there still's another tear to be had. We weren't back on our feet again. We already used the sky is falling, and if we let one of those suckers slip in for longer than 19 seconds, we all might lose our jobs. So I think we're just going to go ahead and pass on that, if you don't mind.
I don't blame you. Thanks for joining me tonight, PA.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know I got you, and you know the real cool thing out of this, is, I mean, outside of Hootie Hoo, which is a Dynamite Bitman, you got a T-shirt. Is that you've done just such a really good job with this whole thing, man, pre and post. And if I don't tell you that enough, truly that's what's in my heart is you've done a wonderful job, which is also great news for yours truly. And here's why, because I believe somewhere in June moving forward, Nordo's going to have some time off, which means the days I'm in with you, it's going to be so easy to say, hey, I'll handle 2 Viking segments. You put together 3 Wolves talkers and let's go and take a little load off Daddy.
I appreciate you, PA. Like I always say, and I know you always say that you always try to deflect it, but I couldn't do any of the stuff that I do without great mentors like you and everybody else in this building. I'm a part of a really good team.
And you get that one last cry coming up this next game, or maybe they win and they extend the talker. And then one last cry and like some version of Taps is in front of your home fans, which is kind of masochistic, but I guess we'll just take it one game at a time.
And that's all the Timberwolves can do is just take it one game at a time.
That's really all you can do.
Every game is 0-0 at this point is how you got to look at it.
0-0.
You can't look at it like you're facing down the inevitable. Every game is 0-0, and you got to try to bring it. I know records are meant to be broken for a reason. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's not impossible. A man that once played here told us that several years ago, and it still holds true to this day. Thanks for joining me today, PA.
Yeah, I got you, man. Anytime. God bless you, and I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, I'll see you tomorrow, 9 to noon. Bumper to bumper, the Common Man program, the Power Trip Morning Show will all be lamenting a 107-116 loss in Game 3 down in Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. We'll do one more segment after this. See a couple of callers on the line. Hang out, and if you want to call in, you want to vent, you want to mourn, you want to cry, even if you want to let loose a random hootie who, a sad whimper of a hootie who, you can call us at 1-800-320-5326. You can text in 64686, email booth@Bryant. And all that stuff. So holla at me. This is Howlin' with the Homies, presented to you by ABC. We'll be right back after this.
This is Timberwolves basketball.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help.
ABC.
American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC for new installation, insurance restoration. ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC Wealth Management.
56, Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, your authorized York dealer.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hear that? The sound of your antique fountain pen gliding across linen paper as you journal in the park. And if you were here, you'd be inspired by the warm breeze. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the wind in your face on the road is all the inspiration you need. So if you ride, get a quote and see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Now that's inspiring. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoors stuff that you want to do, like hiking, jogging, biking, playing on the beach, whatever you want. Hey, it's Corey Coe from the Power Trip Morning Show for QC Kinetics. Don't go through this summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give you new life back to your aching joints. Whether it's your knees, your hips, your back, your shoulder. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients all around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. And QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, who was an orthopedic surgeon who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine. He knew there had to be a better way. Call QC Kinetics now for that free consultation, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123.
Hi, it's Mark Parrish from my friends at American Building Contractors, and they have one heck of a deal going on right now. When you replace your roof with ABC this spring, they will replace your gutters for free. Yep, for free. You'll still be getting the quality products, craftsmanship, and service ABC is known for, so reach out to ABC now and schedule your free estimate. A few terms and conditions do apply. Visit abcwillhelp.com to learn more. abcwillhelp.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
One of the realities of memory care is many families find they're unhappy with the care their loved ones are receiving. Families don't want to move to another facility because they feel it's going to be a setback for the resident. But at Wellshire Memory Care, they find the opposite is true. When you bring them into a community that's thriving and has the right amount of nurses and activity team staffing like Wellshire, the resident is part of a community where they can thrive, especially in the early stages when it's most important. If your current facility doesn't feel right, consider Wellshire. To learn more and set up a tour, visit WellshireMN.com.
She ate a fly for breakfast. Almost daily, she coughs up a hairball. She's been known to bring home a bird, or 3, and her favorite toy smells like fish. Yet here you are, letting her lick your face for a really, really long time. We get it. You love her unconditionally. That's why Pets Best has customizable, affordable pet insurance plans, so you can protect the love of your life. Get peace of mind and a quote today at petsbest.com.
Now back to the 651 Carpets Plus, home of the Next Day Install Studios on The Fan.
Say it takes two to tango, and Luka Doncic and Kyrie were hitting the samba, the Soldier Boy, and every other dance move that you can think of as they combined for 66 points and boogie all over the Minnesota Timberwolves to win 116-107 and puts your Minnesota Timberwolves in a 3-0 deficit. No team in NBA history has ever come back from 3-0 down to win a Game 7. You never know. I'd be curious to see if there's any team that's even won 3 in a row to take it to a Game 7. But my man Reed in Fargo, he's got something to say about streaks and history. Reed, you're on Howlin' with the homies. What's good, my man?
Hey, Max, let me just start with a little subdued hootie hoo.
I appreciate that, Reed. I appreciate that. Thank you. I needed that.
We're going to go with The Undertaker, 21-0 at WrestleMania. The streak, never been beat.
Yes.
Guess what? No one's ever came down 3-0 to win 4 straight. But guess what? We are Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
and we are going to take him down. Let's go.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, Reed. Reed, just inject that into my veins. That's all I needed is for one person to say we have a chance. And now I'm back believing again, Brett Blakemore.
We can be the one in 151.
Yeah!
Yes, come on.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, like I said, Kevin Garnett once said anything is possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's happened in in any other sport that you can think of that has game sevens. It's happened. It's happened in the Major League Baseball. It's happened in the National Hockey League. It could happen. I'm not saying it's going to, but this game felt like a little bit more Dallas dominated. I don't know if dominated is the right word, but Dallas controlled for most of the game compared to the other two games. But look, the Timberwolves make a couple adjustments. They can at least put up a fight. I don't think this is going to be a sweep. They just got to make a little adjustments here and there, hit a couple more shots. Say Karl-Anthony Towns decides to show up to the game for once, and we're right back in this thing. But right now, it is looking like a steep climb back up to the mountaintop. Curtis in Lakeville, you're howling with the homies. What's good, Curtis?
Hey, I'm wondering about the idea of maybe for Game 4 bringing in Conley off the bench, mostly because he can't really guard Kyrie or Luka. And I think if you're going to live and die by Ant, you might as well let him bring the ball up, see what happens. And then if you have Conley coming in off the bench, you can use him to kind of slow down when they get on a run. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Appreciate the call, Curtis. And like 4 or 5 games ago, if something like this was happening, I probably would have agreed. But to me, the option is then you're bringing Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench, and he's just been utterly brutal over the last several games. 1 for 4 tonight. He hit 1 3-pointer, which is that's kind of been his shot as that corner 3, and I thought that he finally breathed some life back into his game. But again, 1 for 4. So I just don't know. You're sacrificing some offense because Mike Conley Jr. is getting buckets throughout these last couple games that he's looked a little bit more healthy and stuff. After that brutal game 1, maybe the worst game Mike Conley's ever had in a Timberwolves jersey. He had 16 points tonight, 4 assists, but like Curtis said, he is absolutely the one that's getting picked on in those pick and rolls. And whenever he ends up on Kyrie Irving or on Luka Doncic, it's just trouble from there. It felt like they scored literally almost every single time that he was on them. So it's tough. It's kind of an unanswerable question, but I just don't know. First of all, from a leadership point of view and energy, a team morale point of view, I don't think anybody really wants Mike Conley to come off the bench. And I know he's the ultimate team player guy. He's a sacrifice guy. I think I even read a quote from him before the playoffs even started. He told a couple of guys like Nickeil and Nas, hey, you might start ahead of me. Don't worry about it. I just want to do what's best for this team. I want to win. But I just don't know if there is a viable option to replace Mike Conley when Nickeil has just been a complete non-factor offensively. So, it's a possibility. When you're Chris Finch, when you're this Timberwolves coaching staff, you got to look at everything. So it's certainly a possibility, Curtis, but I'm just not sure if that's the route that they're going to go. Dylan in St. Cloud, you're howling with the homies. What's good, Dylan?
What's good, Max? Yeah, devastating loss, but, it's Minnesota, right? But
yeah,
I want to talk about today is Edwards. I get it. He's a great ball player. He got 26 points tonight, but, he's always leaving Nas in the corner, unguarded, or Alexander Walker in the other corner, not guarded. And here he goes, drives for the basket, never gets it. And and then his passes just always goes out of bounds. It's just, he's got a lot to work on with that. And then Cat, they got to bench him one of these games or start him late because it's just 0 for 7 tonight. He just wasn't good on threes. I get it. He was good driving to the basket, getting the twos, but yeah, I don't know with Edwards and Cat because everybody else, Walker, McDaniels, Conley, were all good with the threes, but Ant and Cat, I don't know what's going on. They did so well in the first 2 series against Denver and Phoenix, but when it comes to Mavs, they're just not good. So I just want to know what you think they should do for Tuesday's game. So that's all I got, Max. Thanks.
Appreciate you, Dylan. Definitely appreciate the call. I would say part of that is definitely recency bias. I wouldn't use the word always when talking about Anthony Edwards not making the right play. I thought his playmaking throughout the regular season and most of the postseason, that's obviously been a part of his game that he's taken a major step forward in. He's progressed so much. He's seeing the court so much better than he was in the past. And I think when you see it in stark contrast with guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, they process the game of basketball so freaking fast. They make the right play almost every single time. And yeah, Anthony Edwards is struggling. And like you mentioned him possibly leaving Nikhil in the corner. I don't know what specific play you're talking about, but I don't blame him. I mean, Nikhil's been pretty brutal from three thus far this year. Just been pretty brutal offensively thus far in this series. So I would say Anthony Edwards, for the most part, does make the right play. And look, we all asked for Ant to be more aggressive. He took 2 shots in the fourth quarter in game 2. We all have seen him. He's tired. He's got his hands on his hips, his hands on his knees. He looks like he's gassed. But we all asked for him to be the more aggressive Ant that he was. And he said he was going to come out and show us. And he did. He tried. He was 11 for 24. He had 26 points. So he made his impact on the game. It's just sometimes, he obviously he still has room to grow. Sometimes he makes the wrong decision. That's just going to happen. He's 22 years old. Eventually, I do think, we're going to be seeing Anthony Edwards close out games like Luka Doncic and Kyrie just did to us today, just did to us in game 2, just did to us in game freaking 1. It just keeps happening. It's like a never-ending nightmare. But today wasn't that day, and this is a huge moment, a teaching moment for Anthony Edwards. This is something he's the type of competitor I don't think that he's ever going to forget how this feels. I mean, he's got Luka Doncic at the Target Center the other night, calling people curse words, telling people you can't guard me, this and that. Anthony Edwards is the kind of guy where that type of stuff motivates him. He's going to be working all summer to try to improve his game. So I think the playmaking with Anthony Edwards has taken a huge step forward. Obviously, there's still room to grow. But it's Cat, the Cat point. Look, I've defended Cat's honor for most of his career throughout his time here in Minnesota, and he's been invaluable to this Timberwolves team in the first 2 series. I mean, we would not be in the Western Conference Finals. We wouldn't have been hovering around the number 1 seed all season without Karl Anthony Towns. But the facts are the facts. He's been brutal. 5 of 18, 0 for 8 from 3. He's just been brutal. I mean, game 2, he couldn't even get on the floor. Part of it because Naz Reid is playing so well. But again, it's just a bad look when the guy that's supposed to be the Robin to your Batman can't even get on the floor, and people are calling in saying to bench him, I mean, it's a tough look. I get why Chris Finch didn't bench him. If Karl Anthony Towns, he's such a good player, he's such a skilled player, that if he does start hitting, his ceiling and his shot and his offensive skill set just raises the ceiling of this Timberwolves team exponentially. So you kind of have to give him a chance to shoot his way out of it. It just has not been working that way thus far in this series. We got one final call before we log off for the night. Andrew in Apple Valley. Speaking of Karl Anthony Towns, I heard you want to talk about Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew.
Hey, Max, you're the man.
Hey, appreciate it, Drew.
Well, what I think the Wolves should do is have Nas start, have Cat cut off the bench, like they did during the season. When Cat was hurt. Gobert and Nas worked well together. So that's what I think. Yeah,
Naz Reid's been playing great, and Karl Anthony Towns played 38 minutes. Naz Reid played 29. So I think if you just finagle with the lineup a little bit, Naz Reid can get a couple more minutes in there. He had 14 points. He was obviously the hero of Game 2 until Luka Doncic hit that dagger of a shot. And you just can't speak enough about how good and how clutch Naz Reid is. He has the most timely baskets of anybody on this team. But again, Karl Anthony Towns is just that skilled. And don't get me wrong, I love Naz Reid. Naz Reid is amazing. But the way that Karl Anthony Towns, when he's at his peak, he just takes this Timberwolves team to a whole nother level. You cannot bench him. I mean, I get it. He's been brutal. The man's confidence is already probably in the drain. You absolutely cannot bench your Robin coming in to a do-or-die situation in Game 4. And that's what it is now after your Minnesota Timberwolves lose 116-107. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving were just, I mean, clutch is an understatement. They could not miss in the fourth quarter, and Dallas outscores the Timberwolves 29-20 and take a 3-0 lead. Let's at least hope your Minnesota Timberwolves can put up a fight in Game 4 on Tuesday. You'll be able to tune into all of the action right here on KFAN. You already know that the pregame party will have you covered. And, of course, me and Parker Fox will be live after the game howling with the homies. If you want to come watch the game with us, we'll be at the Mall of America, MOA, in the Rotunda. I mean, tonight's game kind of puts a little bit of a big old wet blanket on the party we were going to throw at MOA, but we're going to have fun either way. So come on out to MOA on Tuesday. In the meantime, Power Trip, 9 to noon, the Grum, bumper to bumper. We got this whole thing covered like a blanket wrapped inside a Snuggie, wrapped inside 3 quilts. It's not as fun as talking about a win, but we ain't scared. We're here to analyze it, break it down, all of that. This has been Howlin' with the Homies, aka Wolves FANLine, presented to you by ABC. Shout out to ABC, shout out to American Building Contractors, and shout out to you, the listener. Usually this is where I say, we ain't dead yet. Have some hope. It's hard to say that, y'all, but listen, records are meant to be broken. It's certainly possible. It's just going to be really, really tough. Have a nice night, y'all. Peace.
ABCwillhelp.com. ABC will help. ABC. American Building Contractors. ABCwillhelp.com. New roof, windows or gutters, siding or just a repair. ABC. For new installation, insurance restoration, ABC is there.
Call today and get free gutters when you replace your roof with American Building Contractors. Restrictions may apply. Call for details.
ABCwillhelp.com.
At RBC Wealth Management, we know you have ideas for your future. Ideas that can have you enjoying the moment or owning the moment. They can bring investment opportunities or opportunities to invest in yourself. Ideas that can have you doing good or feeling great. From following your passion to making your passion work for you. What ideas will you bring to life? Know more with RBC.